School from the Kenthoven School of Maths. 10, 9, 7, 6, 4, 3, 5, 7, 8, 2, 1. Right, we're live. How are you, Aidan?
Well, I think I'm doing pretty good in this particular situation. Thank you very much. Yes.
You wouldn't be Mr. Brett Keane by any chance?
I don't know what individual you're referring to in that particular situation.
It's actually you don't know how accurate you are because partway through he starts eating. I don't know if it's mac and cheese, and he's speaking with his mouth full, and it just sounds awful.
He's in an interview. He's being
Literally,
interviewed, and he can't even help himself. But in the
yeah.
middle of it, just stuff his gullet. I'll disclose to the audience, much like I just disclosed to Claude right before we went live. I haven't seen this video at all. So anybody, if you're out there in the comments, please don't spoil too much of it. But
Oh,
I've been informed, not just by Claude, but also by Big Bad Mama as well before this, that apparently a particular individual gets brought up in that encounter.
he
So
does.
we'll have to
There's a
see
few.
that.
Well, it's quite funny. Bolin starts. So yeah, just so people know, Bolin is desperate for views on his channel.
What?
Most of his shows get just a few views. Although when he does that Ron Wyatt crap, that he can get some decent numbers. But so he's desperate for that. So he's trying to. I think he sees him as a sort of savior. So, and he actually says, Boland says, Brett, if it wasn't for you and your assistance to me, Proverbs Guys channel would have poor production values. I know. Only one thing could be worse, and that would be Kenthoven saying that. PGs are slightly better than Kent's production values. Oh, Zachary Gianeri makes an appearance too, he said.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's funny. But I also, then he plays a song. Now, that I can't see that's Brett singing. You can normally pick, can't you?
Yeah.
I don't know, because he does dance around the question of AI later on, but it sounds awfully like AI to me.
Oh no, I'm sure. I have no doubt in my mind whatsoever that it's AI, because he was able to sing back in the day. See, I as the resident Brett Keane historian that I am, I'd be able to tell you that there was a period of time where Brett did make some music. And I'll tell you what, some of the music that he made, it wasn't entirely terrible. It wasn't completely garbage. And it was because he had a certain tempo about himself, He had this very unique quality to his singing. And that, I imagine, is totally out the window. And the moment I knew that was the case was when I saw the thumbnail for that interview before.
Well, he's lost a lot of weight.
No kidding. No kidding. I had no idea that they were able to perform liposuction on blue whales nowadays, Claude. The amount of blubber that they would have had to have removed probably could have filled the city bus.
No.
But
oh, dear.
I mean, at the end of the day, if they were able to get Brett into a suit anywhere near what they were able to show in the thumbnail, it was just so silly. He's looking all dapper and he's ready to go for this official interview, and here you're telling me before we even go live that he's eating in the middle of the interview.
Yes. Yeah, and at one point it starts off a little bit. Oh yeah, he's eating. Then it gets really bad, just for about a few minutes. But I don't know if it's mac and cheese.
Oh, I think I do. I think I do. I can
But
say on good
if
authority.
on one of the songs, if it is him singing, he's actually got a good voice and he does a couple of power notes, and I'd be quite impressed. If, however, I guess the only way to know that would be to tell him, well, hey, okay, give us a note or two now, Brett, and see what happened. That would prove it.
See, that's just the thing is that people have asked him to do that for years, and he never wants to sing around other people like on air. It's always this, oh, let me just sit around in the Keane laboratory here for a minute. And I'll make sure I turn out a real good song in that situation. No, it's not him. It's just like what happens is when you have like 27,000 hours of your voice just sitting there on YouTube, just rambling into a camera on day and day and day, just endlessly. You're going to be able to, there's certain AI programs that you're able to like train on your voice so that when you have it trained on the 27,000 hours of prattling on that I put into this camera, and I have 32 hard drives stacked up in my closet in this dank dungeon of a house that I'm living in right now. Like when that's the case, it's not going to have a problem being able to like make it somewhat believably him. So I don't blame you. Like technology's gotten far enough that even a dullard like him is capable of accessing something like that.
He's labeled as one of the most influential atheists by Bolin. Who credits, the Christian movement for winning over one of the biggest tools. It's a bit of a strange word. I don't know if you have
one of the biggest
someone
tools.
Who's a tool is an idiot, as a
yeah.
person. He's a tool.
Yeah. That seems a little underhanded on Boland's end, but then again, being underhanded.
I think this is one of the biggest tools of Satan. But I think I just leave it as one of the biggest tools.
I mean, like,
that Brett, you got such a cool voice, Brett. Oh.
Yeah, I imagine that it's not a very hard hitting interview. I can't imagine that there's too many questions that you'd really want actually out there, because I believe Big Bad Mama was going to ask Brett, and I don't know whether or not I'll have to ask them whether they put it out there, but yeah, it would be interesting to see whether Brett answered, because his question that he had for Brett was, what is your stance currently on Kent? Like, how do you feel about Kent Hovind? Yeah. Because he was flip-flopping all the way, just this, that, and the other way around about Kent back in the day. So,
well, it didn't get through. Now, to begin with, I did notice Big Bad Mama make one or two comments, but then nothing for the rest of the show. So I think I think Stephen would have blocked him from that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Sure. I didn't see me on there. Well, not me as me, but one has to tread very carefully because you're under the constant threat of being booted. Because then they complain that these atheists won't come and debate us. We challenge them. They won't. This is the irony of it. And then Brett says, well, atheists say nothing new or interesting. What? And they're very weak. They're so weak nowadays. They used to have far more courage. That's what he says.
Oh,
condescending blimp.
And you know what? I guarantee you, I'd be willing to bet money on it because there's a chance. I don't think it's a big one, but there's a chance that they opened up the room at some point. But if they opened up the room, I guarantee you in my crystal ball that Brett was like, all right, you're going to open up the room in this situation, but you can only do that if you basically only allow people that aren't going to be rude to me in any way, shape, or form. Nobody that's going to actually be critical about anything I've said, all right? I guarantee you. So yeah, he acts like, oh, these atheists, they're such cowards nowadays in the situation. It's like, no, they're not. You just don't want to deal with anybody that has any actual like critical things to say about you. That's the thing. Oh, we have some commenters out there. Speedy Romans, hey Aiden, how's it going, Speedy?
Yeah, and Zachary says Stephen didn't want to open it up because of the fear of trials. He's not scared of anything. His God is so powerful, he can handle anything apart from two things: trolls and money. He always needs money.
Interesting, yeah, interesting how that works.
That God thing. So that sort of went on for a while, and then Brett was so busy doing everything, and I thought to myself, yes, busy doing everything except jogging. It's the one thing you won't do.
Yeah. I've heard it said for a long time that the best way to beat Brett on an issue is to challenge him to a running around the block contest and say that whoever wins this is just automatically right about everything that they've ever said in relation to any issue that they've had. Sorry, did I cut you off? I didn't mean to.
No, you didn't. No. I've just suddenly been a bit Big Bad Mama said, I've just put it up on screen. I heard a report today that Sandra has a new boyfriend.
Oh my goodness.
Let's hope so. I wonder if he'll go to Kent to ask permission to marry. That would be the ultimate, wouldn't it?
It would be, because you know that if that happened, the moment afterwards he would be on camera in his little church with his echo chamber going, can you believe it? Later on, the very next day, I had some random guy pull up to the premises. I have no idea who this guy is, all right? He's in this pickup truck. Like, all right, if you just want to go around flashing around, oh, look at me. I'm in a pickup truck. Wow. So flashy. Unlike us over here, we're trying to do the Lord's work over here. But anyways, this guy comes up to me. Kent. He didn't even call me doctor. He just said, Mr. Kent. Can't believe it. Would you believe it? He didn't even say doctor. And this man wants to ask me permission to have this woman married off like she's some form of chattel in the 15th century. I mean, can you believe it?
Oh, dear. Big Bad Mama, get yourself on here. Get yourself on here. We have some fun.
I know.
Oh, wait, there's some good comments. I put some up there as we go along. So, but anyway, hopefully Big Bad Mama will come on because I want to know more. No, I'm not a gossip. This is fact. We're just trying to the truth to come out. Yeah, so Brent is working on a book about his life, and someone asked if it would be a very short book. and they nearly got booted, but they managed to rescue the situation. And actually, he said, no, it's 456 pages so far. So God knows.
Oh, goodness gracious.
456 page book about his life. I mean, and then, but wait a minute, he's worried about publishing it because he is scared of being sued by family, not evil atheists. That's normally the one.
That's true. That is usually the enemy.
It's normally the evil atheist. No, this one is he's worried about this family, and he might have to wait till some of them have died or something.
Oh, wow. Well, Brett has had some serious issues internally with his family, and I only say that because he has talked about it himself, and he's in deleted videos that but everything on Brett's old channels, for Christ's sake, was deleted back in the day, so it's really not saying all that much. But yeah, he would talk about how like his sister would released back in the day publicly like a giant post about Brett, talking about him and going into detail about his life and talking about like all the horrible things that he would do to people like his mother, and people corroborated that story in his life, other people. And we found out later on through Brett that now apparently one of his children's been arrested. There's a video that he put out not all that long ago saying that one of his children was arrested. I'm pretty sure I know which one he's talking about, but I don't want to name names or anything like that.
No.
But
what, for immobility, or surely you have to get a crane to remove the windows to get out of the house.
Doctor Who in the particular situation had to show up because they were causing a rift in the space-time continuum, and they had to be stopped before Earth was sucked into a wormhole and put into another dimension.
There comes a point in it where Bolan hates on Canadians, and I wonder what he's meaning by that. Then he
I know
he's been bombed and everything. I think he means porn bombed, and
by
Rumble
Brett?
is going to be. But no. Well, this is the irony, isn't it? And then Rumble is going to be their way forward. That's going to be ProverbsGuys' future, which is a lot of rubbish. They haven't got the balls to leave. They're just following Kent. But yes, you are right, because they eventually go on to talk about the, Brett being porn bombed, but they don't acknowledge that he's porn bombed others. And Mrs. Parker's channel, I'm pretty sure there's a clip of it somewhere. So he's just lying.
I mean, not only that, but lest we forget that there is literally a history of Brett with Bolan's channel where when they had a disagreement, and when I say a disagreement, literally just a classic situation where Brett feels like because Steven isn't doing exactly what he wants him to do as a friend, that he's like wronged him in some significant way. He went on Steven's channel and like broadcast this like abhorrent piece of content with this person like saying these like racial slurs on it over and over and over again for like hours at a time on Steven's channel, trying to get it taken down, like trying to get the channel totally banned.
I remember that now. I remember. Oh, God.
Yeah, and that, I mean, don't get me wrong, was that a while ago? Yes, it was. But the fact that that's just like totally ignored, nobody talks about it. It's just total water under the bridge. Nobody wants to acknowledge it whatsoever on their end. And it's because they're very fake people. And that's why I find if anybody in the audience is wondering why, if Claude is wanting to give his reason why he's interested in it, then he's more than welcome. But my reason for why I'm interested is because this is two people that have been at odds with each other and are very fundamentally fake people. And they're trying to pretend to be real, and they're trying to like prop each other up as though they're two great people, I imagine, within this interview. So that's what's going to be interesting about it to me, is just seeing that and realizing the juxtaposition with who these people really are, That's going to be
the key word is hypocrisy, and therefore it is so ironic to us. And they're always talking about evil atheists, and they've got no morals, and they're atheists because they want to sin, and they don't. And then you see this sort of shit that goes on, and you think, what? Just about any atheist I know is more moral than these clowns.
No kidding.
So Brett goes on about, does stupid come from rocks argument, and he loves science, a bit like Kent. They sound very similar. I love science. He also talks about people being so narcissistic and knowing everything, but and the people that didn't make it beyond high school. Well, I mean, really? There are plenty of people who didn't make it beyond high school, but they're still decent people. But these clowns probably didn't make it beyond high school either, and they're horrible.
Well, there's so many people out there that have like put this giant stock just solely in like whether or not they've accomplished something like that. And is it an important thing in life in terms of like making a major career for yourself? Sure, getting a higher education can be very important. But is it a measure of whether someone is actually intelligent or not? No, I wouldn't say so at all. There are plenty of people that have done very well in academia that I would consider very unintelligent people. And there have been people that have never seen a day of university in their lives that I would consider very intelligent. You know, it's not just a matter of it being one or the other. And people like Brett that try to cast it that way. Not only is it just blatantly ironic, considering, you know, we know that Brett hasn't seen a moment of post-secondary education for a moment in his life, because that would be publicly available knowledge.
Yeah.
And it would be something that people would have already found out, because Brett, one of the very first things that he did in his YouTube career was try to dox somebody. He tried to doc drop somebody. He tried totally like revealing all of their personal private information. And I'm pretty sure that that's the reason why his original channel got taken down in the first place. So, you know, he'll complain endlessly about, oh, I'm being harassed by these people, this person, that person, the other person. But he's never really strayed away from those tactics all that much. Sorry, I'll respond to this comment here by Zachary. Just wait until you guys get to my comment in the video. They do everything in their power to not answer the question. The only reason I didn't follow up was because I didn't want to get banned. I have no doubt that it's going to be quite entertaining to watch. See, that's the thing that I was almost certain was going to happen, is that Brett, he's just such a notorious figure. You know, like he's just somebody that's so infamous for the things that he's done and the people that he's wronged and the lengths that he's gone to. Not certainly not physically, but metaphorically, the lengths that he's gone to just screw people over as often as he possibly can in as many ways as he possibly can. So yeah, when he rears his manatee head above the swampish waters of Missouri and goes on to Steven's failboat of a channel. Hold on, I'm not going to watch it, but I want to go check really quick. I'm going to peruse and see how many views that got. I wonder how well it did them, because
There's about
I
9 watching it, but yeah.
No, I was looking at Steven's interview with Brett. Was what I was looking for here. Wow, I was expecting it. I was telling Big Bad Mama beforehand because I found out about it earlier today, and I told him earlier. I was like, I think that that's probably going to get them a bunch of views. Like Brett's coming back and he's doing an interview. He's probably going to get like a couple hundred views for their channel for that. And I'm looking and they've got 31. Oh my goodness. They really just cannot for the life of them get any views, can they? It's quite a sad state of affairs on their channel.
They say that Brett is made up with Titor, Truth, the Objective Reality, which is quite disappointing because Titor at least was one of the ones that condemned Kent for his association with PDF files, and
Yes.
But now it seems that they've made up, and of course Brett was all over the show with that. 1 minute he was, you know, these guys were innocent, and the next minute they were guilty, just depending which side of bed he got out of or fell out of. So they're saying that, you know, apparently Boland says that people are obsessed with Brett, like the drunken peasants. I think they're great.
I mean,
they also say that Atheist Junior is obsessed with Kent. Kent's a way better person than AJ. All this sort of nonsense. Just
oh my goodness. No, I mean, in reality, what it is people like the drunken peasants. Yes, I'm sure they probably still do cover Brett to this day, but he's done it to himself. You know, he acts all the time like, oh, he's this innocent victim and he's just being preyed upon. But he loves the attention more than anybody. I'll tell you
Yes.
that much for sure. Like,
Absolutely.
if anything else, even though I'm going to enjoy making commentary on that video tomorrow, I do have to acknowledge in the back of my head, damn it, we were really trying not to acknowledge the Proverbs guys' existence over on Gangster Ghost's channel. And it's been working very well because you've got to think back in the day when all of us were interacting over on his channel all the time, he was getting 200 views, 150 views, like he was getting decent views over there. And nowadays, he can't even break 100, it seems, to save his life. So I don't know.
Well, Bolan wants Brett to go up to the ARC protest. It sounds though Bolan wants to go to as well, so that they can have a line against the atheists, these terrible atheists. But Brett's worried about his agoraphobia or whatever. But every now and then his wife takes him out on the highway. And it sounds a bit like a dog. It takes him out.
Yeah, no kidding. Come here, Brett. I'm gonna take you on your weekly run. God damn it, Dorn.
I wish I had more sympathy if it's true that he has this illness, but I'm just not so sure.
Well, I'll tell you why I don't believe that he has agoraphobia. The reason why I don't think he has agoraphobia is because there's plenty of old archived videos of his back in his atheist days that Bolan said he was ever so popular for. And yes, for a very brief moment, he was a very influential atheist. That is true. For like a year, maybe a year and a half in very early YouTube, he was quite influential in the atheist community. But when people found out, when he started dropping people's docs, when he started getting revealed for plagiarizing Judy Burnett's poems, like it just unraveled for him so quickly. And ever since then, he's just been this proverbial. He's the guy that never shuts up about the one football game that he played back. Let me tell you, back in the day, all right, I was the quarterback situation, and I ran the best play out of any of the individuals on that field. Right? Like he's just endlessly trying to relive these glory days. And I mean, I couldn't fault him for that sentiment all that much if he wasn't such a piece of shit. Yeah. That's what it really comes down to. That's why I fault him for it, because how can you not? He just welcomes the criticism so much by his reprehensible actions.
Oh, what else does he do? He Bolan says statistically there's a lot more nasty atheist trolls than Christian ones. Oh, I don't actually hear the statistic quoted, but apparently he says that. So, and Brett claims that atheists get on his channel and then they'll suddenly swear and yell. Would he do a moderated debate? Well, he said once, yes, he would be contacted Standing for Truth. And yes, they agreed to do it. And then he got ignored. Which a comment went up at that time, but I don't think it went up on the screen saying, well, I think since Sandra left, Standing for Truth has distanced himself from Hovind.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Really, even Standing for Truth is starting to
I'm pretty sure that's right. You look,
shit.
they haven't had any more, he hasn't had any more debates with Kent since Sandra left. It's probably because he's going to find it hard to moderate people like me saying, Sandra left Kent.
Well, I mean, like, even real ball washers like Standing for Truth, because let's face it, that's what he is. He's just a yes man toady who's just endlessly making excuses for Kent while trying to pass himself off as an unbiased moderator. But even he eventually has to recognize when there's so many legitimate avenues of criticism towards somebody like Kent that you can't deal with that when there's so many people that are able to go after things like that. You pointed that out very well. Like if you go after, oh, Sandra left Kent, like what is he able to say against that? That's true.
Yeah, it's true.
It happens.
I tack it onto just about any shot where I can get it, where it's in any way relevant. Stick it on there. Why not? And when he admits it and just tells the truth, I'll stop doing it. But meantime, you've got Boland, of course, who swore on, I'd bet my son's life that this is a forever marriage. that didn't age well. Neither has Boland. So.
That is very true. That's very true.
Oh, Boland then boasts, look, I've got very good connections with Donny, I can pull strings, get you on the debate. It's just utter rubbish.
Oh my goodness. That's probably what convinced Brett to do this in the first place. I imagine that Stevens probably reached out to Brett multiple times because let's face it, it's not a recent development that the Proverbs guys have become irrelevant. They've been irrelevant for like going on a year now. Like nobody has been watching them. How long ago was the Ryan debacle? That was at least 6 months ago at this point, right? Yeah. Like after, I would say that was the real final nail in the coffin as far as like the majority of like the last people that were watching, because a lot of people back then were saying, oh, the Proverbs guys aren't the best, but I watch because I like Ryan's show. And hey, to each their own as far as that's concerned. I don't dislike Ryan or anything like that. But like when he got canned by them for no real good reason, when the facts of the matter were revealed, it, I think, just disillusioned even the last real like group of people that hung on. So it's unfortunate for them anyways, but I think they kind of dug their own grave, didn't they? But hey, maybe we'll at least be able to make some hay out of it. We'll be able to or like Rumpelstiltskin, we'll be able to spin some gold out of it. We'll be able to make something decent out of the god awful content that exists in its current form. Let's try and make it like the Hovland documentary, where our version of things far outclasses theirs, not only in terms of the quality, but in terms of the views as well. The coverage of it gets more views than the original. That would be funny in my view.
Tend to happen, So Boland says that he refers to Brett being pawn bombed many times. I think I've mentioned that before, but ignores Brett doing it to Mrs. Parker. So these are provable lies. I can't understand how these so-called Christians can outright lie, knowing that someone's going to call them out on that. We know what Brett did on Mrs. Parker's channel. We saw it. So
it's literally a matter of just trying to appeal not to any kind of matter of truth or anything like that, but just trying to appeal to people who already buy into that narrative. Oh, these evil atheists, these horrible people. Yeah, they're the ones that are out there doing all these horrible things. It couldn't be a good, honest person like Brett. Which, I mean, like, I really don't know if there's a single person left on the internet that has an internet connection. Maybe there's some people on North Sentinel Island, that group of people. Oh my goodness, that guy that went on there, and they chased. Well, they killed the one guy fairly recently, and then that other guy went on there, and I think he's going to prison now, isn't he? The guy that went there recently. So,
yes. I will leave the bits that Boland says about you for you to hear for yourself. That'll be fun.
I'm excited.
You get a surprise. It'll be good. But he finishes it off by saying, every YouTube podcaster came from the inspiration of Brett Keane. True. That's they came from the inside. He was a pioneer.
Wow, yeah.
Wow, it's just an incredible ass licking. I wondered if Brett and Kent Hovind were the same person because, Boland was just as vigorous with his tongue as he is with Kent. It's an awful thought, but true. I just.
Yeah, he really is quite. He's quite adept at brown nosing, isn't he? And
It's a shocker.
it's it's one of those things where why are you so good at just trying to prop up really horrible people when you can look into their past and look into what they've done and know for a fact that they've not deviated from that behavior at all, and yet here you are in some 20 years almost after Brett first started on YouTube. And there's still people like Steven that are willing to just totally ignore the truth of the matter just so that they can try and farm some views off of this manatee. That's the funny part to me. But with that being said, I think I've said my piece. Thank you, Claude.
Well, I'm about to end the show anyway. So, no, it's been great. Because I don't believe in long shows. I don't know how the hosts that go on for 6 hours do it. And looks the Big Bad Mama cannot come on tonight. So he might be still away on his hiking.
Yes, but it was great to have me on here. Thank you very much, Claude. It was.
Thank you. You sound like it. It was great to have me on here. Yes, Brett.
I mean,
I know what you mean.
You know what I mean.
I know what you mean. I'm just being.
Maybe I'm inhabiting the Brett character a little too well lately.
Yes, I think you forgot. But yes. Without repeating ourselves, it was just unbelievable. But it'll be good to. What time are you doing it with Gangster?
So it will be in MST, which is my time. It'll be 2:30. In Gangster Ghost's time, that'll be 4:30. But I'm not quite sure what time zone you're on or what time.
No, I can work it out from Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah.
So
EST, it'll be 4:30 for his
and
time.
hopefully he normally puts up a thing saying that, it's coming up live. So I'll check that out for that.
Well, it was an honor for you to have me on. I hope that the red carpet that you laid out for me isn't crinkled on the way out.
Okay, well, I'm going to say goodnight to you. I'm going to say goodnight to everybody. And I look forward to finding out more information about what Mrs. Sandra Hovind IV is doing as well. Which
Yes,
would
indeed.
at least give Kent the excuse to marry one of the girls he's trying to lure to serve the men in the man cave. So it'll be another forever wife, and Stephen Boland can bet his son's life on it. You can't make this stuff up, can you? They're such a joke. I get so annoyed because I think there's some poor kids growing up thinking that these guys are their role model.
Oh, yeah.
Talk
about a nightmare.
Okay, I'll say goodbye. Thank you. Bye.
Goodbye, everyone.